I'm joined by Ramandeep, CEO CodeCube.in. Do you think the industry has reached the saturation point, or there are opportunities that still exist?
Well, it hasn't reached the saturation point as yet, right? So it's just a 5-year-old market as yet. But yes, the way this has exploded has been quite phenomenal as compared to the web world. So the internet started way back in '95. The catch-up of web took a long time, but that didn't happen in the mobile application world because the technology existed. We were already accustomed to the web world, so mobile was a layer on top of it, and it just took off pretty fast. No one expected it to be that fast. The market still is there. It's still very, I would say, still nascent. The opportunities are huge. The apps have actually gone through evolutionary cycle. The earlier apps, which were in the starting days, were pretty simple in nature, but now they are pretty complex in nature, and require much more time and investment than I think in the early days I was there.
Moving on, while an app is being developed, what is more important, the idea or the actual app as it shows on a device? Because an idea might be great, but Google Store or iOS, it is listed on these platforms based on how user-friendly they are.
Right.
So what is more important?
So the idea is important, right? So that's when you start off with the fact that, okay, what do you want to build, right? But that's the ideation stage. Post-ideation stage, you have to do your homework of the kind of apps which are there in the market, because what you think of today, it's already been done, right? Post that, of course, user interface is very important, because that is the most key critical factor that
and by
decides.
user interface, you mean the devices,
right? The UI, the graphical interface, okay, and the way we use the application. Right. That is very important, because if you don't focus on that, what will happen is that there's always a possibility that people will delete your app in the first 5 minutes of using it.
Right.
So you don't want to lose your customers.
And that could be because of the fact that the app is too complicated or too difficult to operate,
exactly,
to work on.
Exactly.
Right.
It also depends on various factors. The user interface that you design, how is it too complicated? If it's too complicated, people will just not use it. How good looking it is. Right? That's another big important. Is it clean? Is it too cluttered? Because the phone is 4-5 inches, 6 inches max. So you don't want to clutter too much information, because it's not comfortable for the human eye. So that's very critical. And then the other factor is, are you doing cross-platform? Are you doing native? We generally say if you're doing a
consumer. What do you mean by cross-platform?
So cross-platform is basically what you're doing is, now there's technologies available using HTML5 and other phone gap and Sencha that you can actually build once, right, and it works across iPhone,
various
Android,
platforms.
Various platforms, exactly.
Right.
So you build once and you deploy across, right, various devices, whereas native is that you have to build for each one of them individually.
Now coming back to the kind of people which are employed in a mobile app development company. Yeah. So are there different departments in which you would want to divide those people? For example, creative, people who do programming. Right.
So broadly there are, I would say, 3 to 4 you can broadly say 3 departments are there. So one is the creative department, which does the user interface, the UX, the user experience, and the UI. The second is the development team that does the development on the platform. And the third is the testing team, because testing is very important. Right. You have to ensure that the application is working on the various devices, is working well, performing well. So broadly, these are the 3 categories. There's, of course, a product manager also generally involved in these cases, or a manager who's wearing the product hat, right, and ensuring that, what are the specifications of the application that has to be made, the features, the functionalities, and the target markets and all. So broadly, yeah, these 3 segments are there.
Okay. And since there are these 3 different departments which exist in a mobile app development company, right, what will be the kind of skill set which you look at while hiring someone?
So the creative ones, the people that we look at creative, they're mostly designers. Right. We look at people with design skills, someone who's passed out from a design school, right? So that really helps, because they have some sense of design. Right. Because, like I said earlier also, user experience is very important. So that thinking, the creative thinking skills is very important. So that's the creative side. And the development side, we generally look for people from the engineering background. So that's the first criteria. And then, of course, we have the MCs and the BCAs. But we've seen that the market has changed a lot. We see a lot of youngsters out there who are not even technical in nature, but they haven't done a technical degree for the matter, but right, they are technically very strong.
But they're capable of programming.
Exactly. Okay. So yes, the advantage is there if you're an engineering graduate, but yeah, that's not the story.
Even if you're not, if you have the skills.
If you have the skills, if you can do it, if you got the interest to do it, yeah, it's fine. You can still do it.
Okay. Thanks for talking to us, Raman.
Thank you
so much. Two of the most important people in terms of the role that they play in making the idea or the concept of an app a reality are the designer and the developers. I'm joined by Priyanka and Puneet, and Priyanka is an app designer and Puneet obviously is an app developer. We'll be talking to them about the different stages in designing and developing. So Priyanka, I'll start with you. Tell me, where does the process begin as far as designing is concerned?
After going through all the details what the company gives us, the designing starts with the research, which is the most important thing whenever you start with any design.
So first, obviously, you do a lot of research
Yeah.
in terms of the brief which has been given to you. Say you're making an app for example, a news channel. So you'd be looking at the kind of
Ongoing apps that's going on the market and what is very much famous, within the users.
Right.
So that is very important before you start any designing. So after doing all the research, you need to start with the doodling thing. So which is very important. Just it's not like important for the designing part or something, but it's very important for like
just to make a framework of it in your head.
What kind of design
Right.
you want, where you want the content to be displayed and all, everything.
Also, what specific factors as a designer you keep in mind while designing an app?
Yeah, see, basically, few things you have to keep in mind. That is, the design should be simple. Simplicity should be maintained in all over the design. It should be like user interaction should be very much important while you design, like the colors, themes, and everything. Everything should be specific and to the point. Like if you're designing anything, whatever is important, just come to the point and show it.
Okay. And at what point does a developer come in?
See, after I am done with my demo layout,
Right.
I give that demo layout to the developer.
Right.
Then they start with the developing thing.
So Puneet, basically what does a developer do?
Actually, once everything is done, then the designer gives us a complete images regarding of the project, and then we take care of the images, and we develop the images statically to dynamically in a code.
So you're given images by the designer, you're given the content by the designer. You, through coding, translate that for a mobile device.
Yeah, live on a mobile.
Okay, and this of course takes a lot of time because this stage, at this point in time, you're basically translating all the ideas and the entire concept of the app through programming into the app as it looks on a mobile phone or any other mobile device for that matter. Right, so how difficult that job is? I mean, because when she was talking about the designing part, she was saying that designing something simpler is a lot tougher than designing a complicated app. So does that hold true for the developers as well?
Sometimes yes and sometimes no. Like sometimes if there is a simple image and rotating any sort of an images, but the logic is long, and sometimes it's just an image and just like simple image, then it's a simpler code. But if the logic is complex, then it takes the time. If the logic is simple, then it takes some time.
Okay, so you've been doing this for quite some time. Could you tell me a little bit about the most challenging app that you might have developed? And why was it challenging?
I just recently worked on an app that it's providing information about the oil and the gases.
Okay.
I just worked on this app. This was totally simple when I just started to work on this app. As the time goes on, and it gets more complex.
Okay, and what happens once you're done with developing the app? What happens after that?
After that, that's come on a deadline. We have to provide the whole code, whole application to the client so that they see the application. After that, they give us and provide feedback. If there is any bug, then we will work on it. Otherwise,